Om, good evening to all the folks in US. Good morning to folks in India. It's really nice to see you all. This is Krishnan. I live in Houston. I'm talking from Houston. So welcome everyone for this really an important evening for a presentation by our Guruji, Vinayji. I would like to briefly introduce and give my personal story about how I met Vinayji and my take on all. Let me first introduce Vinayji. Vinayji, an established thinker and philosopher and self-management expert, immersed himself in the study, research, and practice of Vedanta. He started this one at the age of 16. That's amazing. That's remarkable. He started at the age of 16, and he has been doing it for the last 30 plus years. He has inspired people both in India and abroad to commit themselves to higher ideals and transform themselves to lead a more purposeful and fulfilling life. He founded an organization, a non-profit organization, Wisdom Foundation in India, dedicated to spreading the eternal principles of life and living. His tireless work expresses through wisdom public lectures, study classes, workshop, corporate seminars, educational modules, youth interactions, and retreats. Vinayji's programs continue to enrich and impact people all walks of life. Vinayji stands as a testimony to dynamic living of higher values. I think many of you might have heard about him or heard from your friends about Vinayji. I would like you all to visit his website and you can read more about his activities, wisdomfoundation.co.in. That's where you can really see what's going on, all the wonderful things that's going on happening, and how he's helping people every day, day after day. Personally, I met him before COVID. I think now we started talking about before COVID and after COVID. It's like BC and AC, AD kind of a thing. So I met him before COVID. That is what 2018 or 17 at the time. And when I first met him, immediately I got a really good feeling about Guruji, how not only spreads the knowledge, he also lives by it. That's a very important. There are a lot of people you come across, they tell you to do a lot of things, but do they practice it? And he's one of those folks who really practices what he teaches. Let me give you a good example. I mean, right now here it's 6 o'clock in Central Standard Time. It's pretty good, but you know, in India, it's 4:30. And a person takes so much interest and gets up early in the morning to help us. That's amazing. That itself shows how much dedication he has got. I don't have to tell you anything more than that. That is amazing. And I can count on my fingertips how many times I got up at 4 o'clock, to be honestly. Okay, that's really a remarkable that he wants to spread his knowledge. That's number one. No, the good news is he's going to be talking to us every week for next 6 weeks, Eastern time, 7 to 8 p.m. And more than that, he's going to be visiting US sometime in September, and he's going to be planning to visit quite a few cities around the country, starting from New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, Tennessee, Texas, California, and all those places. And it'll be an honor and privilege to meet him and learn from him. If any of you on this group would like him to visit the city where you live, and we will be more than happy to arrange it. My suggestion is go to the chat window and put your contact information, and one of the volunteers can contact you. And then we can work out the schedule so that you'll be able to visit the city you are in. Okay, so that's what I would like to. So let me not take more time. Let's listen to him more than anything else. So I'm very happy to introduce Vinayji for this evening presentation of the first of the 6 weeks lecture on eternal wisdom. Vinayji.
Hari Om, everybody. Hari Om, Krishanji. Thank you for your kind words. As it is tradition, before we start any session, we will start with a prayer. So those of you coming for the first time, please do chant along. Okay. Oh. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So thank you, Krishnji, for your kind words. Happy to see some familiar faces, and in fact, very happy, very delighted to see Ashwati. I believe you are now in US, and I met Mom. In fact, I've known Ashwati for a long time. I don't know, last we met maybe more than 10 years ago, possible. Her mother is a very dear student of mine in Malaysia. Over the years, she's been a very keen student, and I remember Ashwati also attending some sessions a while ago. Good to have you, my dear. So the objective of these 6-week introductory sessions into the eternal wisdom is intended as a prelude to my first physical lecture tour to US, as Krishnji mentioned, sometime later this year. However, this 6 weeks, the 6 Sundays, by the way, Krishnji, yeah, my day began a little earlier than what it would usually begin. I had to get up by 3:30 a.m., get ready, and come to the center, which is where all the online sessions usually happen from, not far from where I stay, but still a little early, little out of the comfort zone, but that's where growth happens, isn't it? You know, you need to push yourself to do. So this 6 weeks, the effort would be to consciously see how this grand knowledge, this grand wisdom, which we call as Sanatana Dharma, how it has a profound relevance to our lives. How, in fact, I would go one step ahead. Perhaps it's not too early to make such a loud statement that I believe life gets paralyzed in some way or the other if we don't find this wisdom injected in our lives. So here is this wisdom. In fact, there's so much wisdom out there. And I take the opportunity to utter these famous words by the great Adi Shankaracharya, who says, Endaro Mahanubhavulu, Andariki na Vandanamulu. There's so much wisdom out there, and we all need to bow down to this wisdom. I humbly bow down. There's so much out there. So if you say that, then what are you doing? Perhaps it is our little effort. It is my little way of adding to that great wisdom. But what is that USP? Why would you want to come back to this knowledge? Why would you come back to this guru? Why would you come back to this specific interaction? Is the USP I have been embarking on is to create a dialogue with my students. There is opposed to it that I could have a monologue, which you find in many gatherings, is that the guru is talking about the truth profoundly, eloquently talking, but the students are left literally high and dry. Very rare is there a live dynamic dialogue between a teacher and a student, or between the guru and the taught. It is this dialogue. If you go back into the Shastras, if you go back into the scriptures, right from the very Vedas, the knowledge has always been given out through a dialogue. It has never been a guru talking. It's always been, in fact, the student asking. If I were you, I would say, I have nothing to say. You ask me what you got to ask. And that's where I would let the tempo set in for our dialogue. However, when I get on with the presentation, there would be a conscious effort to make you think. And the only way I can do that is by asking you questions, by asking or encouraging you to question me. And by doing that, I do that not to question your understanding, not to challenge your wisdom, but is only to churn your knowledge, is to churn your ideas. And this process of churning the ideas is what that awakens the dormant intellect. And in that process of churning the knowledge, churning the information, you bring about a true transformation. The information that we gather, if it's not processed, it remains as information. It doesn't transform you. So the whole purpose of having an interaction, to have a dialogue, is to engage your intellect. In fact, the very word education, the English word education, is derived from the two words educate. So edu means to draw, and kate means out. So if I have to educate you, if we have to put ourselves to the process of education, the only way education can happen is by drawing out the knowledge. And how can I draw out the knowledge from you? The only way I can draw it out is by having a dialogue, is by questioning, is by making us think. So one of the first important prominent points I want to establish is this Sanatana Dharma, the eternal principles that we talk about, is actually all-inclusive. When I say all-inclusive, it has a relevance to every human being. It has a relevance to people from any walk of life. It has a relevance. It has a universal applicability to one and all. It is not just relevant to, it does not cater to only a small minority of people. For example, if I were to say that this knowledge is discovered by the great rishis of the past in the great Himalayan ranges, I've still not got over that. In fact, I just came back from a trek from Himalayas, Krishnji. I'm sorry I didn't share that. Those pics, amazing. I've just blown away. Physically demanding though, but breathtaking, so beautiful. It was a trek and it took a toll, so I'm still recovering. However, the Himalayan ranges, the mountains, the valleys, they use that as a spiritual laboratory where they unearthed, they discovered the wisdom in the inner sanctuaries. Having discovered that wisdom was meant for people from all walks of life. Just like a scientist who does his research of medicine or any specific invention, that medicine which is invented in the laboratory, it's not meant for the laboratory, it's meant for people out in the world. You took a mention of COVID. In fact, we've little forgotten that. So thanks for reminding COVID. So when we all went through that phase, we all needed vaccination, we all needed to be treated. So the scientists, the doctors, they went under the roof, got into serious study and found out what is wrong, what needs to be done, and they got out something which meant for humanity. Similarly, here is this knowledge is not meant for the minority of sannyasis or those who have taken up to that higher purpose or higher search of wisdom, like some of us who have taken to serious study. I've devoted over 30 years of my life, and rest of my life is going to be consumed by this study and research. It's not meant for the small minority of us. It's meant for the majority, who are 99.9% of people who are living a life, a walk of life, which they think is right for them to do, leading a life of profession. But here is the wisdom can have a relevance to their lives, not just to a small minority of people. A simple example, and I would like to, that would perhaps establish my first point, that Sanatana Dharma has a universal applicability. Take, for example, any product. It could be a, I think I'm still scrubbing out the amount of sunscreen I've put myself on the trek. So everybody's saying, Guruji, you have got really tanned. I said, yeah, we have got tanned in spite of the sunscreen. I don't know how many times I've put layers and layers of sunscreen. Arviji, so it's okay. It's the same Guruji that you're wondering, who is this new fellow with a new tone? So it's all acceptable because of the terrain and the weather there. So take a product, sir. It could be a facial cream. It could be a sunscreen. It could be a normal pen. It could be a television. It could be an automobile, or it could be an aircraft. If that product has, how do you test that product? What is the quality control of the product? Let me ask this question. Let me get into a conversation. In fact, I'm very comfortable the moment I get to a conversation with you all. So right away, let me ask Ravi Shankarji.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskar.
To test a product, best way is to use it with a small group of people. Get their feedback, and if changes are needed, make relevant changes to it.
Right. So you do a lot of research on it, and once the product is ready, what is the true test for its success in the marketplace?
Proactively?
I'm sorry?
Unless if you release it in the market, you're talking about effect after that?
Yes, after the product is released, what is the real quality control of any product? As I said, from a facial cream to it could be to an aircraft, anything that comes out in the market. What is that quality control?
So compare it with the specifications that you are expecting in that product. So actual product versus the product versus what is the promise, the specification of the product.
So in effect, what you're saying is the product should serve the customers, and there must be that feedback customer satisfaction, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
And and the quality is that majority of people must find a customer satisfaction. They might be a small percentage of people who may not have. For example, any drug I take, even there is a caution that there might be a small percentage of people who might experience a side effect. but majority of people would not have a side effect. Imagine 99.99% people are experiencing side effect. You say that product
Then
is a
you
failure,
withdraw the
isn't it?
product. Yeah.
You
That's
withdraw the
right.
product. In fact, there was a doctor on the trek, and there was such severe muscle cramp, because of the sheer workload. And doctor told, hey, take this pill. It should give you a relief. I said, thanks, doctor. And next morning he asked me, did you have any side effect? I said, you did not tell me of any side effect. Don't worry. If there's a very small percentage of having a side effect, and I asked him, what is that possible side effect? You would have itches and rashes all over the body. Thank God I had none, I said. Imagine if I had itches and rashes up in the mountains, that would be an additional thing to deal with, isn't it? So every product is judged and tested by its universal applicability. If Toyota is manufacturing cars in Japan, if some product is being manufactured in US, it has to have not just compatibility to its market, but its universal applicability, right? Now, if any product that we create has to have its applicability all around, here is this grand wisdom. Shouldn't it not have a universal applicability to people from all walks of life? Shouldn't it, sir? If it doesn't,
Yes.
then it does not have a relevance to my life today. It shouldn't have a relevance to my life today. So here is a point, perhaps we may have taken it for granted. Thanks, Raviji, very much on the spot.
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
So the whole point we're trying to make is that this knowledge has a relevance to our lives, and it is all inclusive. It takes into account to whatever situation, whatever context you give it, it has a solution. So it's a conscious effort these 6 weeks to bring that grand wisdom into our lives through a process of what is known as applied philosophy. It is not easy, but it is an effort to speak in a tone of applied philosophy, because one can easily switch gears or speak from pure philosophy or take the stance of applied philosophy. So the effort would be to talk from the pure philosophy. Now, just give me a minute. I would like to give you a glimpse as to what do I mean by talking from an applied philosophy. Now, I hope you all can see the screen. Yeah. There you go. So today, I would like to get into the first segment, the first section, how the eternal wisdom deals with acquisition and enjoyment. Now, how you have the wisdom guide us with the various facets of life, whether it be the pursuit of happiness, what has got to say, how you establish a relationship with the world, how do you learn to manage the constant stress that seems to be bothering us, how do you end up controlling your own mind, is it possible to bring about a balance of being dynamic, productive, at the same time maintain that inner peace? How do we bring about that ability to manage emotions, emotional management? How do you build that inner resilience so that you will be able to deal with the constant onslaughts? There's an important segment later. We would talk about parenting. Every individual plays multitude roles. Now, how do you play all those roles with a charm? And at the end, how do we really fulfill ourselves? How do we attain a life of fulfillment? So there would be a genuine attempt to throw light into all these aspects. In fact, there's so much more, but it touches on all these essential aspects. Now, it is important that I establish this primary very word eternal. Now, the word eternal means something, it existed at all periods of time. So here is this wisdom which was given out in some time in history, in past. It existed in the past. It had a relevance to the times when it was given. Here is a wisdom which has a relevance to our lives today. Here is a wisdom which will not die in time. It will have a relevance to lives and challenges and situations in the future. So something which existed in all periods of time. Something which has a relevance to people from all walks of life, whatever walk of life, as I've said. You could be a professional, a businessman, an entrepreneur, you could be a sportsman or a celebrity, a youngster dealing with your challenges, or a teenager. It could be any challenge that you have, any situation you're presented with. It has a relevance to the lives. In fact, I very beautifully get connected to this concept. What is this wisdom? The word eternal is something, as I've said, it is something which is all periods of time, something which has a relevance to all walks of life. How would you, let me ask some of you, as I said, you all have a great exposure to wisdom. Let me ask Ashwati. Ashwati, can you
Yes,
tell me,
sir.
what would be the best way you can describe wisdom?
I think wisdom is something that is needed to walk through life and do what needs to be done and fulfill your purpose on this earth until you reach moksha, which is, our ultimate goal. So, I mean, that is a very high level way of putting it, but
Yeah,
that is a
hey,
very
you're
long
going.
question.
I have not prepared for moksha and all in this classroom, please. My preparation is very limited, so don't test me in those areas, okay? Now, in simple, come down to my level, please. Now, what in simple terms, how would you describe wisdom? No, you're not wrong at all. You actually said so, but in a language which we all can connect.
It's your sharp capability to navigate through the challenges in life.
Absolutely. It gives you the capability, it gives you the ability, it gives you the capacity to look at life, isn't it? In fact, you put it very beautifully in your own way. I would put it up as saying wisdom is nothing but an instruction manual to life and living. It is a manual to life. And when I say a manual, it is something which is essential, which is paramount. Anything that we pick up in the world, any new product, any new skill that you learn, it comes with a manual, isn't it? And I keep questioning, I keep suggesting, asking, probing. I ask you, Ashwati, if I can still be with you on this, what is the most valuable thing in your life, of all that you have access to? Yeah.
So the most valuable thing in my life, wow, I would say at this stage, my family, even though they're not with me at this point, but it is hard, and I feel like part of my self is back home. So
I can understand it could be It is your family. When you were with the family, what was the most valuable thing? Ah, family is there. I wanted that, isn't it?
I think at that point, because I was younger and I was still in Malaysia, I thought education and my future as a professional is the most important thing. And now I have it, and now I'm thinking back to my family. Yeah,
That's
it's
life.
weird.
That's life, isn't it? That's life. So at every phase of life, you have your physical, material things, your conveniences. You have your family, your near and dear. Of all that, if you put it on one side, not just at this phase, but all through your life, you may expand your family. You would expand your belongings, your what you have acquired in life, on one side. On the other side, if you were to put yourself and your life, I'm sure you would agree, you, the individual, is far more valuable than all that you possess in your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your life is far more valuable and precious than all that belongs to you. When you say my family, a family belongs to you. When you say my car belongs to me. My job belongs to me. My home belongs to me. Everything around us belongs to us. But if the owner, if the possessor, if the individual is not taken care of, what would happen to all that you possess? Wouldn't it lose its charm?
Yes.
So the most valuable thing is the life, is you as an individual, and that individual must be nurtured, must be provided for, must be taken care of. And there is this beautiful manual, that instructions of life, which has to be injected as early as you can, so that it takes care of the most precious thing, to eat the most out of it. If I have a product, the only way I can enjoy the product is by knowing all what that the product has to offer to me, isn't it?
Yes.
And how do I know that? By knowing what it is designed, what all it houses, what has got in it. And that justice is done through the instruction manual. But if I don't have that know-how, the manual to life and living, I would not know how beautiful and how glorious life can be, because I have not tapped the true potential, what life is meant to be. Very good, Ashwati. So, as I've said, wisdom is the instruction manual. In simple terms, I would say wisdom presents the laws. I wouldn't go into that segment. I wouldn't go into the detail here, but I'm just planting thoughts into you all. The eternal principles presents the various laws which govern our life. These are not opinions. So when I'm presenting this wisdom, it is not a mere opinionated point of view, but rather it is all presenting you the laws which govern life, which you can take an independent inquiry into the truth and find out, is there any truth in it? So it is not opinions, but rather laws which govern life. Now, maybe if I can ask anybody here, can you present one or two laws which govern our lives? I would like to connect with someone who is here for the first time, because somebody who has been a student of mine, who's acquainted with his wisdom, he may have a know-how. Okay, let me ask Suresh Garu. Sir, would you tell me a law or two which govern our lives? In fact, we learned it in yesterday's satsang, isn't it? About the difference between opinion and facts of life. Sureshji?
Yeah. Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om, sir.
Yesterday's I am not able to recollect as it were,
Right.
because we were talking of Bhakti Yoga, and one of the laws would be that the importance of the intellect in our decision making, the discrimination which the intellect offers us.
You're talking of the essential tool to make the right choices here, but I'm talking slightly different. What I'm asking is, there are various laws. For example, when we say there are laws which govern the world, right? There are various laws which govern the world, like there are physical laws, chemical laws, biological laws, physiological laws, chemical laws, the laws of motion, the laws of gravity, and so on. Science has unearthed these laws. Science only discovered these laws. They have not invented anything. These laws have been existed from time immemorial. We have just unearthed these laws that have been operating in the world. So all these laws govern the world meticulously. So the law of gravity, which functions in India, is the same law of gravity which is operating in US, isn't it? It's not that the US law of gravity is slightly different to the Indian law of gravity. Krishnanji, is it true or is it false? Is it the same? No, for you? If you jump from the first floor, please don't do that. The speed at which you'll be attracted to center of Earth at 9.8 meters per second, I think it's the same if I choose to jump as well, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it is the same.
Oh, no. Why you say unfortunately? So the law doesn't change. What is the formula for water? H2O. It's the same for, even it could be crystal water or whatever kind of water you have. The formula for water is same. Doesn't matter whichever part of the world. So the laws remain the same which govern the world. Similarly, there are a bundle of laws which govern an individual. What are the laws which govern an individual? I'm just trying to draw it out from you all, please. Krishnanji, any thoughts?
Truthfulness.
Truthfulness.
I'm saying you have to, if I have to create some laws, I will say, okay, this is the number one. I want to make sure that you always tell the truth. And I mean, it's a question is whether somebody wants to follow or not. That's a different question.
The law of truthfulness.
Being born, growing, getting old, all that is universal.
I didn't get you, Marcel. Can you please come again?
Saying the law of being born, growing, getting old. This is the cycle of life that's universal for all of.
Yeah, the 5 metamorphic changes, right? Birth, growth, decay, disease, death. You like it or not, we all are subjected to. So there's a law which governs our physical body. What are the laws? What are the psychological laws? What are the philosophical laws?
Well, philosophically, conscious being. Philosophically, we're all conscious being.
Indeed. Being conscious beings, we need to be conscious of the laws which governs us, is my point.
Yeah.
Again, I'm saying, my dear friends, the objective of having a dialogue is not to question your knowledge, is not to challenge your wisdom, but is just to churn the intellect. Is just to activate all that we know, is to bring it up to the forefront so that it starts, you start churning up the wisdom. Otherwise, it remains as information, and that doesn't help. We are well informed. There's no doubt about it. There's no dearth of knowledge in this classroom. It's just that we need to activate it. We need to process it. And an opportunity like this a satsang like this only facilitates that. So I would like to be as much a facilitator in this process than trying to teach you all something. I come back to the question, Anand, if I can ask you, can you tell me, mention a law or two which has been governing your life from the day you're born? Yes, please.
Yeah, Hariam Guruji. I mean, the law of action. I mean, you know, any action in your life has a consequence or a reaction that you live every day through. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you can say the law of action, Newton's third law, right?
Yeah. But even in your philosophical life, in your everyday life, your action, there's a consequence on how you deal with other people, with the external universe, has a reaction and impacts you in everyday life.
Indeed. One more law. Don't tell me I didn't ask for that. Huh?
No reason. Doesn't come to me right now, but maybe I'll keep thinking.
Right. No problem. Anybody else? Ravishankar Garu, any idea?
The Arshad Vargas can be treated as laws that govern the at least psychological laws.
Could you be specific, please?
Like a Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Madhamacharya, all those things. So, I mean, you have to make a conscious effort to overcome them. But every individual is controlled psychologically, at least, by those things.
Yeah, the various emotions which play a part, you know, everything arises from karma, from desire, and how that the ability to control your mind, control your emotions. Yeah, there's a serious need to manage one's inner personality. But I don't know whether we can call it as a law of life. You're not wrong. Think along, sir. Think along. Yes, RPG.
One that comes to mind is law of causation, cause and effect.
Yep. What is that law of causation?
So for every effect, there is a cause, undeniably. You cannot just assume that it's an act of whatever, God, or, you know, I guess I have a saying, do ex machina, right? It's just some magical force, but there has to be a cause, right? Anything that happens that you see or don't see even, that there must be some cause to that then leads to an effect that then leads to another cause.
Yeah, there is the law of causation which governs our lives, the law of cause and effect. And the law of causation has two laws under it. Suresh Garu, the law of causation has two laws. One is the law of destiny. The law of destiny is everything that has happened in your life, this moment. Destiny refers to the present. Whatever you are today, you're a product of the past. And the same law, if it's extended into the future, the law of karma says not only you're a product of your past, but you're a producer of the future. And this is governed by cause and effect, which Anand rightly brought out, that everything that you do has a consequence, comes back to you. When I go out and do good in the world, the good comes back to me. I reap a merit. So one such law is the law of causation. There are many laws. Before I present them, I would like to hear from Srinivas Reddy garu. Cheppan sir. So we can't hear you. I'm afraid we are not able to hear you, sir. If you can just check your connection and again, we can have you again. Right. Yes, Suresh garu.
The law of effort. See, once we talk of human life, effort is an inevitable part of life. So one cannot run away from said. The mode by which the inevitable comes to pass is effort. So the law of effort, and there the right effort is, which has to be put in.
There was a little disruption, but I think we got the essence of what you're saying. You're right. So there's a law of action, the law of effort. You're right. Yes, Suresh garu, you're right. Yes, Srinivas garu, I think you're saying the same which Krishnanji mentioned about the law of being truthful. There is a moral compass in all of us. There is the law of conscience. Some of us may be familiar with the word, but law of conscience. I can't go into the detail, but there are innumerable laws. Before I actually share it with them, yes, I would like to hear from Setuji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Yes, sir, Hari Om ji.
Law of deserving, you get what you deserve, not what you desire.
Absolutely. The famous law of Vedanta, which says in life, you may, as Raviji spoke about kama or desire, I may desire anything in life, I may want many things in life, but life only gives you, if you have put your effort, as Sureshji said, wherever you put in effort, whether you paid the price, then only you deserve certain things in life. So you need to understand, don't complain if you don't have something in your life. Understand only when you deserve it, you have it, rather than complaining why and why not. So as we go along through this process of
law of you attach, you lose, you detach, you gain.
The very famous law, absolutely. Setuji will start giving out one by one. The law of attachment and the law of detachment. I'm quickly muting Setuji before he gives out the other law. Thank you, Setuji. Now, I know he would certainly know it, and I know you all know it. So here is a quick look at some of the laws. It is not in detail. In fact, you get a list of all the laws in the book, The Wisdom Conversations, which I've written. So some of you who don't have it, please do find a way you can get hold of it. You can get a hold of it by contacting Anand. At some point, he would leave you his credentials, and I'm not promoting myself or the works, please. I'm only trying to give you a place where perhaps if you're intrigued by it, you can get a hold of the book and get a hold of the explanation of all the laws. So some of the laws have already been mentioned: the law of causation, the destiny, the law of karma, the law of attachment and detachment, the various psychological laws, the intellectual laws, the laws of deserving and desiring, the law of conscience, the law of demand and supply. Ultimately, there is a law which governs our birth and death. Whether you know it or not, there are innumerable laws that govern our lives. So wisdom is nothing but getting a hold of these laws which govern our lives, understand them so that we are able to align ourselves to the lives. And as you know, one who does not abide by the law is punished by the law. So humanity is paying the price of not understanding these laws and how our lives are governed by them. And since you don't understand them and you don't align your life to these laws, one pays a price. At some stage of our life, we are paying the price of not aligning ourselves to this wisdom. Now, one last point before I get into how the various facets of the wisdom can help. What is the acid test we all can put ourselves through in our lives? What is the acid test of wisdom? What is the acid test of wisdom? Krishanji.
Hariom, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, Bhuvana just mentioned being happy.
Being happy. Yep. That could be a means of measuring ourselves. Yes. You're not wrong at all. What is the acid test?
I think that's an important thing. As long as you're happy, that means we are fulfilling.
Yeah, your life is fulfilled. Absolutely. True. Yes. Thank you. Suryaji, some of you who are here for the first time, you get an idea how much I would like to hear from you, how much I would like to have a dialogue. It's not me giving ideas, but making you all think along with me.
To me, the acid test is how I act in a particular situation. Whether I am, it's only mind or it's mind and heart with the conscience thrown in. So how I act in a particular situation or a challenge is an acid test.
Right. So it is moment to moment situations you're measured. In effect, I would, Lakshmi Ma is saying how truthful you are. Yeah, you can say so. The real acid test to wisdom is, do you really walk the talk? Are you able to apply all that you believe in, all that you advocate, all that you are convinced with? Does it reflect, does it translate in your actions? And there is, I'm sure you would agree, there is a disparity between what I know and what I live, isn't it? Many a time there is that gap between, I'm not able to implement everything in my life, what all I know, I believe in, and yet I'm not able to. But if you have that wisdom, that's the difference, in fact, between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is mere information. But when it becomes a part of your life, then there comes about a transformation. And the only way you measure the wisdom quotient in you is, am I able to walk the talk? And if there is that gap, you need to bridge that gap through the process of churning the knowledge so that you draw the wisdom, that you start living the knowledge. So there's no point merely being informed of this wisdom if you're not able to live the wisdom. So the acid test to wisdom is you must live it. Sureshji is blessing me. Thank you for your blessing, Sureshji. Oh, you want to say something? I thought I see Sai Baba behind you also is blessing and you also blessing. So I see two people blessing me. So I was wondering what was going on.
I was just raising my hand. What you just now said, Guruji, reminds me of what Calvin Coolidge once said, "Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? And where is the knowledge we have lost in?" So I wanted to share.
So you need to come back the last section of it, because I think there is some issue with your transmission.
Okay.
Could you come again, please?
Yeah. Calvin Coolidge, I think he is a former American president. He once said, "Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? And where is the knowledge we have lost in information?" You know, this tone of regret, when, as you would say, you don't follow the tools of wisdom to lead a meaningful life.
Absolutely. So beautifully summed up. Indeed. I would like to get it in writing from you, those, please. Please forward it to me, sir. As I said, there's so much wisdom out there. We need to bow down with all humility. And if there's a way we can learn, I'm learning something this very moment. So, as I've said, if I can convince you to embark on this journey to imbibe wisdom, I've done my job. I've done my job. My job is not to give wisdom. I don't want to come into this classroom saying, "I'm a man of wisdom, I'm showering it on you all, please take it." No. That's not the objective. Objective is, if we all can embark on this journey, there's so much we can imbibe and learn. I think if that reinforcement can happen, I think we've done our job. Now, the first principle, which how this wisdom can influence our lives, is how do we look at these two terms. I would not like to expand it further. The two terms, one at this moment, is acquisition and enjoyment. If you were to look at these two terms, acquisition and enjoyment, you would agree with me that acquisition and enjoyment are the two primary objectives that are driving our lives. Everybody, right through the course of their life, consciously or unconsciously, is trying to constantly acquire something new. And having acquired, they want to enjoy it. When you pause and start examining, you would come to agree that, oh yeah, these two forces seems to be the essential driving facets of my life, essential aspects of my life. You may disagree with it, but I'm trying to make you all think along with me. You may agree or disagree. That's all right. You have every right to disagree. But if you can think along with me for a moment, how would you describe these two driving forces? Acquisition on one side, enjoyment on the other side. How would you categorize? Where would you park these two driving forces under? I can ask Harish. Any idea, Harish?
Guruji, I'm sorry. May I pass on this question? I'm a bit stuck on it.
Pass.
Thank you, Guruji.
Sureshji. Before Surajji, I want to ask Anand. Anand, can you answer this?
I mean, Guruji, just you're asking which laws under can we categorize?
No. I've moved on from the laws. I'm saying the first aspect, how the wisdom can impact our life, how to look at our lives through the through the window of wisdom. So one first aspect is acquisition and enjoyment, right? Now, I said these two are seems to be a primary purposes of our lives. Now, what would you describe these two? What are these two forces? How could you better understand acquisition and enjoyment as?
I mean, in the sense that they seem to be driving, energizing the progress of
life,
one's life moving forward.
Yes. So they're very important. They're very essential. They're paramount. Why would you call that? Why would you say that? So what would you call these two primary objectives or forces as?
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be driving you to the next cascading. As you acquire more, I mean, you seem to enjoy more, and it's a cycle that seems to progress, and it's causing a driving motion as you go. I'm not sure if that's the specific thing that you were looking for, but
yeah, it's difficult to read my mind for certain. I know you would know by now. Oh man, this man is coming from somewhere and he expects us to read his mind. I don't want to get into it. Please, no, it's not that way. He's just trying to draw something. So there's a deeper meaning. I know what you're getting at. No, I get what you're saying. Right. Yeah. Thanks. Ashwati, yes, you said something.
Yes, so initially I said it was the cause and effect, but now that I'm thinking more about it, it's kind of the desire and destiny. So the desire is through your acquisitions, and then your destiny is the fruits of your labor, which is enjoyment, which is what makes you feel fulfilled. So yeah, that is how I see it, at least. I don't know about you. I can't read your mind again. So
No, you're right. You're right. All of you are right. Nobody is right or wrong in this classroom. It's just to perhaps I can give you a line of thought, and this may not be the only line of thought, but it's just to think along. You're very true. Now, if you can relate to what I'm saying, now the two forces, acquisition and enjoyment, are two aspects of your personality. Why is everybody trying to constantly acquire and enjoy? It comes as a natural force in all of us. Why is everybody involved with it? Why is everybody constantly engaged in it? Because acquisition is your material quotient, is a material aspect of your personality. Enjoyment is your spiritual quotient, your spiritual aspect of your personality. Now, enjoyment, or that spirit of, as Bhuvanama said, how happy and contented and blissful you are, is measured by your spiritual quotient. So every individual has two aspects to his personality. One is the material quotient, another is a spiritual quotient. So the material quotient measures how materially well off you are, and your spiritual quotient measures how contented, how peaceful, how happy, how much are you able to enjoy what life has blessed you with. So one is your outer personality, another is your inner personality. And a general observation, I would not say it as a rule, but a general observation at humanity at large is most people are rich. The outer personality is well provided for, is well taken care of. They're rich materially, but inwardly they are poor. Inwardly, they are not as happy, as contented as possible, or as they should be.
So there is, in fact, there is a lopsided personality. There's a lopsided personality between your material quotient and spiritual quotient, between your outer quotient and inner quotient. There is an imbalance between our two personalities. We should, and Sanatana Dharma, let me get it right. Sanatana Dharma, or this wisdom, has no objection to your advancement, be it materially, nor should it say that you should not advance spiritually. In fact, Sanatana Dharma says you should advance in both aspects of your personality, because these both are your essential aspects. So you should strive to grow materially as much as you can aspire for. Sky's the limit. There is no taboo to acquisition. In fact, it is not a quantitative. You can have any quantity. There is no taboo or limit to quality or quantity. In fact, there is a misunderstanding of the wisdom here. Many people misunderstand that one needs to renounce, one needs to give away his wealth or renounce his possessions to lead a life of spirituality. A misunderstanding. In fact, you can possess all that you want to possess. At the same time, you can live a life of the highest spiritual values. Shastras give examples of a man of royalty, living a royal life, living a life as a king, and yet they had the highest spiritual values. King Janaka was one such great soul, a man of royalty, living in utter luxury, yet he was given a state of a man of wisdom. Why do we, when we look up to Lord Rama, who was Lord Rama? Lord Rama was a man of profound wisdom, but yet he lived a life of royalty. Dasharatha, and so on. There are many such great personalities in our history who paint a picture that material acquisition or material possession has no relevance to how profoundly you are established in wisdom. So it is not at the cost of the other. It's not either or. In fact, you can have both. You need to have both, because both these are your essential aspects. Now, everybody is acquiring with one primary objective. Why is everybody acquiring? Acquisition is done with a primary objective to avoid future sorrow. Sorry, there's a spelling error here. So to avoid future sorrow. Let me get that right. Which is known as in Sanskrit dukkha nivritti. Dukkha nivritti is to avoid future sorrow. So everybody is constantly acquiring with the objective of avoiding future sorrow. And then enjoyment is for sukha prapti. Sukha prapti is to contact the object and enjoy it. So this two, which is acquisition and enjoyment, either you're acquiring to avoid future sorrow, or you are enjoying is through a contact. It's like you buy a house, and then you enter the house and live in the house and enjoy the house. So the purpose of acquiring is to enjoy it. So the enjoyment through that sense contact. Now, what is most important, the most important point to understand is both are independent. RPG, both are independent. One cannot influence the other. More so, your material quotient cannot influence your spiritual quotient. I may be materially rich, but that doesn't transfer to my spiritual quotient. I will remain to be poor spiritually if I don't work on my spiritual aspect of my personality to enhance. What's the logic?
So to me, the logic is I guess I've come to understand it over the years, is that the sort of finite aspect of the material quotient, all these worldly things that we want, we have to have wealth, right, in order to survive, in order to advance, progress, etc. But that can't bring us the sort of infinite that we're seeking in the spiritual quotient. So we're not, so there's, you can have as much money in the world, but it's still time bound, earth bound, etc. But the spiritual quotient, ultimately, what we're seeking is an infinite happiness, an infinite prosperity. And the two don't go hand in hand, because one is inevitably always bound to the material world, which is finite and ephemeral.
You're true. You're very true. You're almost spelled out the words that really convey the point, you know. So the point or the logic is that the gross cannot control the subtle. The gross cannot influence the subtle. Your spiritual quotient or happiness is at the realm of your mind, is the inner aspect of your personality. The gross, tangible things in the world cannot give you the subtler happiness. So any amount of external world cannot give you that inner happiness. Gross cannot control the subtle. There's a beautiful saying to convey this, which says, stone walls not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. When I imprison your body behind the walls or behind bars, I can only imprison your body, but I can't imprison your mind. I can't imprison your thoughts. Can I? So your mind is free to go. So the essential point I would like to ask you all and leave you all with this, and I will come back. We're just about crossed our time. So with all that the world you have acquired, do you experience a sense of thirst or a sense of fullness? This is a question you all got asked, and I would want you all to ponder and come back with an answer to me. The world that we have acquired, the material quotient that we have found success with, the end of it, has it resulted in a thirst within, or has it created a sense of fulfillment or contentment or happiness? And that would determine what is your spiritual quotient. if there is that burning thirst or the urge to acquire, if there is that burning desire to constantly want more and more, it only suggests you are still living a life of insecurity. If the thirst for more is still there, I want to grab the world more, I want to enjoy the world more, does it create a vacuum within you? Or does it create a sense of fulfillment, contentment? That doesn't mean you wouldn't acquire. Please, there's no taboo to acquisition. But are you acquiring from the platform of thirst, or are you acquiring from a platform of fulfillment or contentment? Just a question for you all to ponder. I will expand on it when I see you all again the next Sunday. So please, you would be reminded if you are able to be connected with us. So please, I think, Anand, is there something for you to share for those who are here for the first time so that they can be informed? But otherwise, I would leave you all with this and looking forward to connecting with you all the following Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you for the wonderful session. Yeah, I think because this is Zoom, we'll send the communication offline. As many of you have seen, please, Guruji will continue the sessions for the next 5 weeks, and please communicate to your network and your friends in order to take full advantage of the online sessions as we continue through to the rest of the courses here, and we'll send out the communication through email.
Thank you, Anand. So we'll conclude with our prayer. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.